Hey, what's up? We should be live. Just let me check, make sure. And I may be muted too. Let's figure that out. So yeah, we're live. We're good. I want you to please let me know that you can hear me and there isn't any of that weird echo we had the last time. Today's stream is going to be a fun adventure. Hey, Aaron, I hope you're doing well. Don't try too hard. If you have to sleep, then that's fine. You can watch it afterwards, and there will be plenty of more. Hey, Tyes, thank you for giving me the opportunity to learn. It's my pleasure, really. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Aaron, for letting me know everything is good. So we have Bush here ripping his baby poppy pads. Bush, Bush, Buttercup, Buttercup. No. Nightmare. And Megan Kelly says, hello, Liron. I can hear you, no echo. Thank you so much. So I'm going to preface this entire live stream. Bush, why not? Why not? I'm going to get him. So you get a view at Bush this early into the stream. Now be here, be good. Ruth is here too, so he has to behave. Today's stream, just like the beginning, it's gonna continue being a little messy and all over the place. My apologies. We're gonna have an interruption in about 30 minutes. The cleaning person's supposed to be here, and then I have to go walk off the camera for a few seconds, I guess. Let me rearrange the camera. I haven't fixed anything yet in its rightful place, but yeah. So just letting you know, it's gonna be filled with interruptions. Plus, there's both Ruth and Bush, Bok Choy, Bambi. He has a lot of names now these days. So just expect some interruptions. With that, I'm going to introduce today's topic, and thank you so much for everyone who's here. I will ask you, as always, if you can drop a like. It really helps this stream reach more people. Even though, to be honest with you, I'd be happy if it doesn't reach many people today, because it's going to be a mess, but it's going to be a good one. So yeah, worst case, people will watch it after the fact. So let me show you what we're working with today here. It is a painting demo. I'm going to paint together with you this scene, okay? And let me make sure that you can see it properly over on YouTube. Yeah, we're good. I'm hearing myself with the audio well. Yeah, okay, so you can see it well. So this is going to be our reference photo. Hey, Kelly, Michelle. That Luton is a very common typo, so don't worry. I mean, it's autocorrect, probably not a typo. I've been there once in Luton Airport, and ever since then, they used to bug me for a while with their Wi-Fi connection and weird promotional emails. But in any case, we're going to paint this scene right here. No worries. It's going to be really fun because we're going to go a little deeper on analyzing the scene, which is always fun. So let me show you. If you turn the photo black and white, this is kind of what you get. No, I don't know why is there a funny line? Oh, okay. It's just me seeing this funny line. So this is what you get in black and white. And there's actually a bit of an illusion going on here that I want to dive deeper on. So if you look at the lower right section of the reference photo, can you see how this very bright green, yellow, and that's a very common optical illusion, if you will. It looks very bright in light. So you look at it and you're like, oh, it's really shiny. It's almost probably like the sky. Well, it's not. It's not. Let me show you. So if you turn the photo black and white, you'll actually be surprised to see how dark it is. Let me do this again. So here it is, the color. Now pay close attention, black and white. It's actually not as light. Now let me take it one step further. I actually sampled the reference photo with the different sections just to figure out what the colors are. It just makes it easier to match the colors this way. And let me show it to you in black and white. And I think you're going to be pretty surprised. So here it is, black and white. Can you see this? Look at that previously green. Now it's gray. Look at how dark it is. Now, if you actually want proof, because the optical illusion is really playing with us here, because it's a light within darks. So if you compare it, for example, to the lightest mountain ridge far back, look at the comparison. Can you see how much darker it is? And that's the key point here with values. It's very easy to misjudge. So just being aware of this is enough to really help you move forward So I'm going to leave this up here for a few moments and just address some questions and comments in the chat, and then we'll jump into painting this. I did mention this live stream will probably be, I wrote it in the description, will probably be a bit more painting, a little less talking, just because I'm going to be so distracted, so it'll be hard. So just letting you know. Let's go over a few quick comments. Tyus, thank you so much. Megan, hello, puppy. Hey, Kelly. Tom is here. Hey, Liron, sneaky early one. Very glad to be here. Last few weeks have been busy. Yeah, I know a lot of people have been busy, and I've noticed the numbers going down a bit for everyone, by the way. I hear all YouTubers and other colleagues. So I'm happy to have each and every one of you here. Thank you so much, Tom. Hey, Lefteris, I always have issues with value in relation to saturation. Yeah, that's a big one, because saturated colors tend to look very... should I turn? I'm going to turn my phone so that I can actually hear... cleaning person calls. But yeah, saturated colors always look so dark when they aren't. Tom says, fascinating. I guess I'd call it a local relative contrast. Yeah, exactly. And I think actually, I'm happy that I shared it this early into the video, because this is the main value point for this one, just being aware of this illusion. Okay, I will discuss it more in the realism course. I have already started building the classes and filming, so there is a bit of that there. So hopefully that's going to help some of you. So let's do this. What I want us to do is maybe we can sneak a real quick kind of quick sketch before we're interrupted, kind of a la prima, and then we'll do a more detailed one. Okay, so I'm going to switch these two so that you can see my desk, and we're going to switch back actually to the original reference photo, and I'm just going to work based on that, and we'll see how it goes. I will probably want to zoom in. Sorry, the light's a little weird. Let me try and fix that. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm a little messy because the last couple of days have been a real challenge. There we go. Okay, so I think that should work. Dirty palette, as always, my preferred method of working. We can see some of this cable, which is a bit annoying. Let me try and fix that just a bit. There we go. And I'm going to go for it. This is going to be a rather quick attempt. Should I zoom in a bit? Let's just do this. I never used the inbuilt zoom feature of the camera. I don't know why. I didn't even tape this one all the way around just because it's fine like this. I just want to do a real quick one. So let me just open up the reference photo on my screen in big. And we'll start with drawing. Yeah, okay. So they should be here in 20 minutes or so, I guess. So let's see if we can make it before perfect. I really dislike having interruptions while streaming, but that's life. So I'm going to use this reference photo, the colorful version, and we'll just go for it. And if there's any issues or any technical stuff, you just let me know. I'll try monitoring the comments. And thank you so much for the comment on the nice haircut. It's always fun to just get rid of the tons of hair. So I'm going to create a frame because I don't have one because I didn't use enough tape. So we'll do this. That's going to be our frame. Okay, we're going to paint inside that and probably outside it too. But I just want to see where, for example, the mountains intersect. So we have one main close mountain ridge, goes down into this valley. And then look at what happens here. We have so many separate ridges kind of going out from that valley, going around. It's just a beautiful scene. Values in this kind of scene can be very misleading, so you just do your best. This is the lightest one, palest one in the background, actually. And then we have the valley down below. Ruth is digging into this sofa, as she likes to do. And now look at the trees here. They create a pattern of darks and lights, which is very nice. And this is going to be our light section right here, okay? So we'll do our best. We'll see how it goes. But the goal with this painting is actually, and okay, so this is actually an important point. I always talk about doing a prep sketch and stuff like that. There is a lot of value in just doing a prep sketch that isn't even deliberate. You just go through the painting process once. Because what it does is it familiarizes you with the scene. What? Let's peek. Just digging through the sofa like crazy. I'll get her a blanket, maybe if she's uncomfortable. Maybe that'll be better. I told you it's going to be messy. So, and thank you so much to anyone who just joined. I see more viewers. If you can drop a like, that'll be really amazing. It will help more people find the stream. I'm going to actually increase the angle a bit because I want more flow. And let's try going for this one really a la prima. I know you can't really see the pencil lines, but that's fine. I'm going to go over some of them. But it's not really that important. I want you to see the painting stages mostly, but these are the values, and you see it goes in a crisscross kind of manner, which is really nice. So I'm gonna get started. The top is almost really white. So what I was saying basically is that there's a lot of value to just jumping in, because by sheer action of painting, you will become more familiar with the scene, and you don't have to really aim for much in this first attempt. You just kind of go for it. Right, so I'm going to put a bit of pale blue into this. You can start thinking about edges, but I'm going to really paint this a la prima. So I'm not too worried about that kind of a thing. Now, this further mountain, you see it starts to get blue. So I'm going to pour some blue in there, but it's still super light. It's still not going to be its edge too. I'm just kind of starting to put stuff in there. And then as we get closer, maybe I'll add a bit more of the ultramarine. And I'll neutralize it with some, well, we're going to heavily rely on neutral tint here because I'm experimenting with it and learning how to use it. And you see it gets more muted, closer it gets. But it's still an underpainting. We're going to probably go over everything here again. And here we start to go for green. So let's add a bit of French ultramarine, a bit of Indian yellow. And the goal here with this first very initial attempt is to just become familiar with the scene, right? So you don't have to overanalyze anything. Let's add a bit of this phthalo blue, phthalo green, just to get it more green faster. You don't really have to analyze anything. I just kind of want you to do it, okay? And then we have these kind of rows of trees. Now notice what happens here, and I don't know if there's any use in getting it this time, but let's actually do some wet and wet, because I may be able to now set up this mountain ridge in the back and then set it and forget it, as they say. Just get this edge there, then add a bit of the neutral tint and ultramarine, just a little stronger, because now it starts to dry, so it'll be more visible. What? Let's speak. She's gonna bark. Sorry about that. If she will. What? Die. So here we go. So it's papers flying in the living room. That's it. So now remember, this part is relatively dark. It looks light, but it's actually quite dark. And I want to make sure I darken it enough now so that for the next wash, Root, must speak. I'm gonna open the door for them. Sorry about that. So green, yeah. So this is root. You get to listen to me talk a lot of Hebrew. Go then. Bye bye. If you're gonna bark. Sorry. So root. Yeah, they're still not here, so I don't know why she's barking. Lower the volume. That's all I can say, unfortunately. So, and then I'm gonna get that mountain ridge that's close. Okay. I think there's noises on the roof. There's a lot of construction work and stuff here in all of our area for some reason now. In this last couple of days and even a week and a half. So you just keep hearing stuff, and maybe it's the wind, I'm not sure. So in any case, starting to darken this now. Again, look at what I have here. This is all gonna have to go a little darker. I'm just trying to build a kind of an underpainting. Now this blue is very strong. It's way too ultramarine. I'm gonna need a lot of neutral tint. And you see how just tackling the painting once like that will give you a really good understanding of kind of what it looks like, even if you're not aiming for something in particular and you're just kind of winging it. Okay, that's the key point here. And then as we get through this area, you see how it starts getting much darker. So I need to start using much darker colors. This is why I don't do wet and wet very often for first washes, unless it's necessary. When it's necessary, I'll gladly use it, but for the most part, it's not. And it's quite detrimental, because what it does is you'll never be able to get these darks if you're using wet and wet, it's going to be super hard, and you'll have to wait for a long time until you can, because you're combating all of the wetness on paper, and it's just really, really tough. So this gets closer. Now it should be bluer, so I can continue charging, or I can just say, okay, that's close enough. And then we'll start moving towards the bottom. And this is where I'm just going to use the pure neutral tint straight out of the tube. But it is important to understand that this area, it's not black. Okay, this is not black. It's actually a very deep blue, and you can see it on the photo. So you just want to make sure that you're getting it somewhere in there. Okay, and let's see what we'll get in the end of this. Maybe I'll mute and use my hairdryer just to dry some stuff faster. There is a bit of a highlight here. I'm just going to ignore it. This is just the bottom. I'm not going to use it for anything. Now I do see that it started to dry, so I can't really do too much here anymore. So we will have to let it dry. So I'm just going to go over some of your messages, and we'll see. So there we go. So I'm going to let this dry. Let's see it on the screen. I have no idea what it looks like. Yeah, okay, we're good. Now we're actually not that far off. We'll just have to kind of tighten things up around here. So I'm actually going to put it in the light. There's a direct sunlight here. Get it to dry a little faster. So while it dries, I'm going to look at some of your comments, and let's see what's up. I'm going to switch these two. So what ended up happening was Bambi went out, and I don't know what he's doing, what he's chewing on. Okay, he's good. So we'll see. So Scars, hey, how are you, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good morning. I'm watching while waiting to get some shots at the Cans for Dogs. Big glad with the next 12 weeks is over. Yeah, definitely keep me updated. I don't remember if I missed an email from you, but I'll get it. Last time I checked, I haven't, and thank you so much for saying it's a nice haircut. Yeah, I look much less worse. That's all I can say. Thank you. No Chiba, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but thank you so much. Greetings from Poland. Thank you for being here. You probably have seen the cityscape I painted from Poland last week. Tom, as much as we always like to see you, the actual painting is very small in the overall stream. Maybe you could be an overlap at the top right. Don't want to draw. Yeah, I can just remove myself. It's not going to be an overlap because it just doesn't allow it. I can just do this. I can just go like that. And then you'll see more of it. That's what we'll do next time. I get it, yeah. Just because it's the first sketch, I thought it's going to be okay. But yeah, it is quite small. And the camera quality is really bad. I have to update and get a better connection, which they're actually working on getting here in this area. So well, let's see here. Vinodini. Hey, Liron, happy I got your live. Thank you so much for being here. Happy, is it your first time? I don't remember. Isabel says hello from Germany. Crispy says good afternoon from Hamburg, Germany. Elias, tell my dogs are trying to say hi to yours. Yeah, sorry about that. So Rob, hey, how are you? Obrigado. Thank you so much, Regina. Thank you for being here. Johan, hello, Liron from Sweden. Paulo, hello from Portugal. Betty, good morning from Augusta, Georgia, USA. Thank you so much for being here. Marigold, hi, Liron, just joined, so don't know if you said where the photo was taken. I actually have no idea. There is a link to it. I can open up the link and check. Let's see. Let me pause this and go to the reference photo. I can maybe find where it is. Yeah, it doesn't say. Definitely doesn't say. The person who uploaded it is called Shogun. So it sounds Japanese, but who knows? If I scroll a bit. Yeah, I have no idea. It looks like rural Europe somewhere. Yeah, I see search. St. Vincent Church, I see in this user's account. Yeah, I don't know, honestly. But I do have the link to the reference, so you can check it out in more detail. So yeah, that's it. Now, it's actually, because it's direct sunlight, it's actually really close to drying. So I'm going to be able to do the next layer real soon. Casper J, oh my god, I'm finally catching a stream where it's live. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Tom says, I love the international appeal of Watercolor. It's great being in the company of people from everywhere. Yeah, it's so cool. Watercolor is really international. I guess every medium is, but Watercolor, it always seems like, and by the way, let me know, you can still hear me now, right, when it's a solo layout. let me know. But yeah, Watercolor has this very strong international community, I guess. So let's see if now you can probably see it a little larger, right? So that's how I'm going to paint the next few steps. But I will have to mute myself and dry for a few seconds. So just give me a moment. Let's mute, and I'll be back. Okay, so I think we're good. Notice how also when it's just taped like this in the four corners, it still dries. It still flattens when it dries. That's what I was trying to say, which is really nice. You don't have to really tape it all around. It's still kind of okay. So let me just make sure you can see something, because something looks weird on mine. Yeah, okay, so that's a little better. Not perfect, but a little better. And we'll get to the next watch. And hey, Dean, how are you? Thank you so much for being here too, and thank you for all the kind messages. Always happy to talk. I know I missed a few. I'll get back to you. So let's start building up those farther ridges. So you'll notice, especially this one, it's kind of not here. And as it goes down, this is actually going to work in our favor. And I wonder if this should just be the main painting because it looks good. I'm going to start indicating the top, and then as we move down, notice how it goes lighter into the haze in this valley. So we'll try and get that effect going here, okay? So I'm gonna keep this large brush. Now mixing. Actually, let's open up the reference. Let's open up the reference I was showing you with the samples, ref samples. So you see it's quite a muted blue. So I'm going to use a bit of French ultramarine. And I know it's not really a good idea to color match from the screen rather than from a printed photo, but that's fine. We're going to make it work. So here it is. And let us use some test paper just to figure out if we're close. So that looks pretty close to me. So we'll get started with that. I'm just going to go back to the original one because it's smaller. And let's get started. So just putting the paint here. And I want to show you how it's okay to work in small sections. You don't have to always combine washes. It's actually okay to work in smaller sections. Now I'm going to use a bit of water to help this paint move down. A bit more paint maybe. And we're going to move it down. And as we move down, we'll really start cranking up the water and removing more and more paint so that we get this beautiful fading out like this. And if you don't want to create a hard edge, you can always just continue this all the way down with just pure transparent water like that. You see, and we got that edge of the mountain. So we're starting to build it up. Now, if we look at the next one, let's see the sample here. So it's really marginally darker. So, and marginally darker and more green, you'll notice there's a bit more yellow in it. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to add a bit more yellow in it. I'm talking about this one, right? And maybe a bit more blue, but you really want to keep it muted. I'll just have to pay attention to my phone. I'm going to have to, as I mentioned, stop in just a moment. Just for a few, like 2 minutes. So you'll have to forgive me. And look, I'm not even waiting. There we go. So I'm just going to entertain you for like 5 seconds while he's coming up. So you can look at Bambi here. But I will have to take like a 2-minute break. Okay, so you'll have to forgive me. But then we'll continue. I love how I'm in the middle of the wash. We'll see how we'll get out of it. So just give me a few more moments. Yeah, sorry about that. We'll continue now. Where were we? We were here. So now we have this. How are we gonna get out of this pickle, as they say? We'll try. So let me see what goes on here. It's actually still a bit wet. So actually, this is a fun experiment. So let's see. Can I reawaken the edges a bit? Let's see here. Let's give it a try. So I'm using a damp brush, not very wet, but just damp. And I'll try remixing what we had earlier. And let's see if this will work. Worst case, we'll get a patchy wash. There's nothing really we can do about it now. And I know the camera isn't fully focused. Hopefully it will focus in just a second. So yeah, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to paint over everything and kind of let them reawaken as I start to mix back what I had here. It was like 70% dry, but you see you can still work with it. It's not the end of the world. Don't feel like the painting is ruined. It's actually going to work out. So, and we're still very light, right? And look at how light this dried. Now, as we move down, I forgot that I need to blend a bit, okay? So let's do this. Add a bit of water to the bottom. And just do this kind of a flicking motion. And I think we should be good. Now, you see how as it gets closer, you need to go a little stronger here on the trees and the details. We're going to do that. Let us look at the color that is sampled there. I actually want to check something with the camera. I don't know why it looks so fuzzy. It's like the quality jumps between, I don't know. My apologies anyway. If it went really bad, I don't know why it is. But in any case, yeah. So I'm going to continue with this part of the wash. And the part I wanted to show you, the sampled part, it is this one. So these trees here, you see this? I'll show you where it is. Right here, this green section that's not really green, it's kind of blue. So now we're getting into a maybe cleaner blue-green. So let's mix that. Bit of French ultramarine. I'm not going to be able to mix it exactly, but I'll try to get close. So a bit of yellow, a bit of neutral tint, French ultramarine, yellow, my main colors for this process. And we'll get started. I want to see what these look like. So there we go. Bit more blue maybe. And now we're starting to establish shapes, and that's important. So, and look at how the fact that this still hasn't dried will actually play in our favor because we get this nice smooth edge. And now we're starting to build the shape of the forest. So you see this comes down from here like that. And we will have time to glaze fixes on top, so don't worry. And then it kind of connects here. I'm not looking at the large photo myself. So here we go. That's much better. And then it goes down here. Now, the more it goes down, again, it starts to fade into the valley's mist or haze or whatever that is. So we'll get that too. And in fact, let's soften some edges here as well, just to make it a little more palpable. So something like that. And then I'm going to just continue and just increase the green a bit by adding some phthalo green. And this is when we get to this group of trees. Kind of, I think I messed up some of the shapes, but that's fine. I actually wanted this to be much more alla prima, ended up going quite slow and deliberate. So not according to plan, but that's fine. Let's just connect these two areas. Then we'll go here. And this is going to be like, I just made this shape up because I have no idea what I did. I kind of lost my bearing there. So this goes like that. And then we have this another group of trees that goes down here. Now here's the important part. You do want to get the shadows in them and their shapes kind of accurate. So the bottoms, see, they're darker. There's the shadow on the sides of the trees. So you get that wet and wet like this. And here, this is so close that it starts to become a little more important to actually show the trees. So I'm going to try like this. And now don't forget this, the forest doesn't just end. You're going to have some lone trees here and there that you want to kind of tie up together, right? So You can place a few of those here, maybe in a group. And then there are the cast shadows that actually go in this direction. So it's a nice effect. I like that. And you want to make sure that as this starts to dry, you're putting in the things that are necessary to tighten the shape, right? So if some of this faded, you go back over it and darken it. Same for this area, right? And remember, these are organic shapes, so none of them are going to be like just straight or repetitive or pattern-like. So another thing to have in mind. Now let's get this slice of mountain here to the left that I didn't get yet, and let's see what it looks like in the sampling. See the top left? I'm going to show you the one that's here, but on the other side, right there. Okay, so it's a very, very muted, kind of trying to see it cleanly, very muted gray. But I do want to get some indication that there is a mountain ridge there. So we'll just mix that. Maybe we'll add a bit of red for fun, just to get it to be a little grayer. And a bit of yellow too. And you see, I'm just playing around, jumping between the wells till I get the balance I like. A bit more red, maybe. I think that'll work. And it's super light, so I'm barely, you see, it's very tea, if you'd like to call it that way. Consistency. And we'll get that shape in. Maybe even more blue. Yeah, it was supposed to be a little more blue, I guess. So this goes here. And this will just create a nice separation between the ridges in the background. Like that. And then as we move down, we start using more water, helping the paint move down a bit and kind of blending into the lower areas. Okay? Now, we need to start establishing that closest part, which isn't as dark as we need. Now, I'm going to mix a lot here, a large quantity, because I want to make sure it will last. Should I take a break and kind of look at what you're saying in the chat? Let's actually take this all the way to the end. I'm not going to wait for the background to dry, which is a very risky move. I probably should. You know what? Let me just stop. Let me just stop for a few moments, look at the chat, and then we'll see how I continue. It's okay to stop here because it's all super dark anyway. Let's see. Oh, a bunch of more people joined. Thank you so much for being here. Crispy agrees with Tom. Kelly, Panama City, Florida. Dean, hey, how are you? Yurija L. Liron from India. Thank you for being here. Everyone loves Bambi. She barks like a very big dog. I have no idea she's a puppy. It's actually Ruth barking, and she does bark like a big dog, even though she weighs nothing, like 12 kilograms. Manette, hey Liron, good evening. Ariel here watching. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. Dragonfly Art Cafe, hey, thank you for joining. Hey Liron, hope things are good. I joined in after a long time. Happy to be here. So I'm actually curious to know, let me know in the chat, because I've heard from many people that they've joined after a long time. So I just wonder, what were you busy with? What's kind of on your mind? I'm just curious to hear. Let me know. Isabella says hello from Poland, Cracovia, and special greetings for Bambi. Thank you so much. John, how are you, my friend? Hope everything is going well with you too. Check, Isabella. Check. Okay, now like I don't know what I'm reading. Hi, Scarlett, hope you're doing well. That's good. Don't forget to like. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you, Dean, and thank you everyone who liked the video. Hey, Kane. Hi, Liron. Been enjoying your videos. Best wishes from India. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here. And if you can, drop a like. It will help more people find the stream. And also, just so you know, the link to the reference photo is in the description box. So if you need to find that, you can find it there. And maybe I'll continue. I think we're good to go. Let's continue. I'm going to monitor the chat while I paint. So now it looks like I'm using a very dark color, but it's actually not that dark. I just want to make sure the most important thing, and I need to remix here because I took a break and it started drying. The thing I really need to make sure is that I do get as even of a wash as possible, because this part is relatively even in the reference photo too. Smooth, there aren't too many details there. So something like this, and then here it gets really black. So I'll try for the brush marks to not show too badly. It does go a little lighter near the bottom, but still quite strong. And then we have this group of trees here, like that. Going down here, and this creates a nice little shape here. You see this, the shape in between. And then we get to the very dark values. So here, again, just straight out of the pen. You saw I did the same thing the previous wash, but it didn't end up being as strong because of the wetness on paper. So if I'm not even doing wet and wet, but still that wetness on paper didn't allow me to achieve the values I wanted, just imagine, right, what would happen during wet and wet. Which if you've been playing around with the technique, how demanding it can be. Not just control and accuracy, but also strength, So yeah, so I think right now we're at a point where we're pretty much done. I wonder if I should do another kind of a bigger one. We're gonna let this dry in the sunlight for a few moments. And maybe as it dries, I can start working on the drawing for a bit more detailed piece. So let's see what we can do. So I have another piece of paper, but it's a little curved actually. So I wonder. And by the way, if you have any questions, just let me know. Right. So let's drop this banner. Move over. Let's go back to this. Let's go back to my face, I guess. Because I'm not sure what I'm going to do. This is curved because it came from a roll. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to just tape it, maybe do the drawing again. I wonder if I want to do like another version of it because it looks kind of cool. I kind of like how it turned out. Let's try this. So I have an idea. Let's explore a different approach. For this attempt, I'm going to try and get almost everything, the right time, the in one go. But here's the trick to it, because usually I fail at that. I wanted to show you how, if you remember the second Polish cityscape I did a story on Instagram. Some of you have seen, and I sold it for like super cheap for $69. I painted in sections. So basically, I painted this section dark, and this section light, and this section. I really worked in sections. And I didn't merge anything. There was no underpainting, really. So I wonder if we can do the same thing for this one. To really work in sections, or maybe a hybrid version like what we just did right now, that kind of getting that first wash. Here we go. Getting this first wash down and then putting the shapes is the way to go. I'm curious to hear. What are your thoughts? I think we'll do another approach, another version of it, but I'll kind of wing the approach because I honestly, I'm not sure what I want to do. So yeah, let's see what you're saying and then we'll continue. I think the previous one is pretty much done. Marigold says that mist in the valley is looking great already. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we're almost done with the painting. Maybe I'll darken the green sections a bit. Maybe they're too light. I'll snap a picture with my phone and actually look at it and figure it out. It's going to be a little slow today. Dragonfly Art Cafe. I'm not doing very well. I have cervical spondylosis and spondylitis and nerve impingement. I don't know what these are, so I'll have to go read later, but I'm really sorry. Which causes a lot of neuropathic pain. Oh, that sucks. It's chronic, and management is only through exercise or swimming. And are you doing those things? Are you doing swimming? I know is great. Curious to hear. Let me know. And I really hope it improves. But I guess if it's chronic, then it's a bit tricky, right? Both of which has not been possible because, I should have continued reading, because of COVID for the last 1 year and a half, hence ended up suffering for 3 months running. I hate running. Exercise or swimming. So like running was the only option for exercise. That is a nightmare. So can you swim now? Because I guess they did open some areas and places. I'm curious. I think here it's all open, like gyms and pools and stuff like that. Painting on top of it without an easel made it worse. Because why? Because you need to kind of hunch over the painting. You should get an easel then. I mean, it makes life really simple. You can also get one of these easels that are just kind of an angled thing that you just put on the desk, and then you can play around with the angle. You don't have to do a standing easel. But yeah. I hope that helps in some way, and hope you get better. Got to be hard. Aishwarya says your beginner videos are helpful. Thank you so much. Yeah, some of my beginner videos are the ones that get the most views. I actually worked on another one that's going to be out Saturday, and I think you're going to really love it. Hey, Richard, how are you, my friend? Hello, everyone. Hello, Liron. Thank you for being here. So let's continue. I think we will. I'm going to dry it with the hair dryer. And then we'll remove the tape. So give me just 1 second. I think we can wrap this one up. Let me see. I'm so unfocused today. It's really bad. Just 1 second. So if this is a reference photo, yeah, I think we're pretty close. Let me do this. I'm gonna dry this, remove the tape, and then we'll figure it out. So just gonna mute myself for a second. And I do want to check on the poppers. Let's see how they're doing. So give me just 1 second. Okay, they're extremely calm, surprisingly even. So let's get rid of that. And I'm gonna take the new one, and we'll just paint another one, maybe a bit larger. So we'll see how that influences the result. Obviously, I could add some stuff, make some corrections, but I actually like it. I don't think I want to touch it anymore. This one's good to go. Let me show you in this camera as well. Just, I don't know if it's a better view. I think it's a bit better. Richard says this is one of the highlights of my week. Thank you so much. That's cool. And I'm sorry, Dragonfly, that they didn't open up. I hope they do soon. I mean, it's about time. Let's go back to this. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to tape this new piece of paper. And this is a bit tricky sometimes because it did come from the roll. So you have to battle against some of the buckling, but it's fine. So this goes like that. So look at this. Look at this experience in putting the tape over a buckled piece of paper like this. So this is obviously a little larger, and it will allow me to get more details in it. It's actually a bit of a different dimensions compared to the photo. It's a little wider, the piece of paper, but we'll see how that works together, I guess. You want us to try paint something else? Let me know if you want me to paint something else while I'm taping this. We can go even portrait format. Not necessarily portrait, but portrait format. So let me know if you're interested in that. And you see the paper kind of rises up from that piece of wood. And last one. And let me show you. I have a trick for getting these to stay in their place. I usually just tape another layer on top. So because this is a thin tape, I just ran out of the large one, as you can see. What I do is I'll often put another layer that will kind of hold it in place a little better on all of them. Okay. Megan says, I'm always amazed how colors that seem a bit dull just pop when they're surrounded by dark. But yeah, exactly. That's exactly the point. That's exactly the idea of, you know, how relative and contextual it is. And if you think it's so light and you go in with, for example, if I used a brighter yellow or something, it wouldn't look good, you know? It looks strange, and you wouldn't know why. You'd think, oh, it's a super bright yellow. Why doesn't it look good? Because it's actually not. So let me actually look at this in black and white. I'm curious to see. 1 second. Yeah, I got it good. I think I'm okay. It's actually, you can see it here. It's actually a bit darker compared to, okay, you can't see, but never mind. But it is okay. I could darken it a bit, but I think I'll leave it like that. I like it. Maybe for this next one we'll try something a little different. Oh, and that's the reason you couldn't join for the live streams. I see. Okay, so I hope now things are a little better. Haven't opened. Running as in I'm still suffering. Oh, okay, I get it. Yes, I did get an easel, which is a lifesaver. I'm walking and doing some low impact training to manage the pain and of course meds. Okay, okay. I see. That's good. Well, at least it gets you moving. I guess that's really important. I usually very naturally get up from the desk and walk around a bit every once in a while. But sometimes I forget and it's a nightmare. Everything aches afterwards. So yeah, let me zoom out a bit. And just so that you can properly see. Sorry about the shakiness. Yeah, okay, so this should work. And you want us to do something different? I don't know. I'm gonna wait for a few seconds and see. If you want me to paint something else, a different kind of subject, let me know. Maybe not a landscape or whatever it is. Just curious to hear. If not, we can just do another one and kind of figure things out. You know what? We can do a fun experiment. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I can just try and paint this without any pencil lines, just for fun, and see how it goes. What do you think? Let me know. Let's see here. Oh, nice. Christine says, Dragonfly, I love your channel. So you have some fans here. Paint something spooky. I could paint another pumpkin, I guess. I don't have a channel. You must be talking about Dragonfly Studio. She's really good. Oh, okay, yeah. So I got confused with the usernames too. Yeah, I know. Dragonfly Art Studios, is it? In your art cafe. Yeah, that's right. It's so easy to get confused. But actually, once I know people on two platforms, I'm good. Now I know. So some people on Discord. Now I have a better understanding of who's who. But it can be a challenge across platforms. So here we go. I'm just gonna paint this, I think. No pencil. Let's do this. No pencil. And I'm gonna use a bit of a bigger brush for the first wash. Otherwise, we're gonna be in trouble. We need to make sure that things are as flowy as possible, at least in the beginning. So let's do this. Pumpkin and candy corn. Yeah, I will do a pumpkin, I think, next time, because I think I recently painted a pumpkin. And if I go down the rabbit hole of searching for a reference photo now, we'll paint tomorrow, maybe. Best case scenario. So I'm gonna do a fun and crazy no pencil lines. And you see the camera doesn't even focus because there aren't any pencil lines. Let's do this. Maybe it'll help it. You know what? It doesn't matter. I'm gonna paint. So some people commented on why I don't mix enough from the beginning. I don't know why. I like the action on the palette sometimes. So I guess that's one explanation. But it is smart, I guess, to mix as much as possible from the beginning. So look, sometimes painting without pencil lines can be very freeing, and that's what we may be able to explore now. So I'm starting to establish that blue you see there in the background. And as I move down more and more, I'm just kind of putting the almost the hues I see, meaning is it this kind of a blue, is it this kind of a green? But I'm not really going for value yet, right? I'm not getting the value to be even close to what it should be. Because I want this to be an underpainting, especially because I'm not gonna use pencil lines, so I need to make sure I know what I'm doing. So this is gonna be the mountain here, and as we move down, I'm gonna start establishing some greens. Let's use this blue this time, and the Indian yellow. Just start establishing some of the greens that are visible maybe in the valley too. And as we get to this section, I'm gonna really put in the yellow like that. And I think this is a nice little kind of establishment wash. I could push things, honestly, to be darker on the left side just to make it easier on myself, maybe. Not a must, but let's do it. Let's see if we can. Actually, let's try something crazy. We're here. I'm going to use very thick paint. And we'll see where it gets us. It's a bit insane, and you'll see why in a second. But okay, so there we go. And I'm going to push it to be even darker than that. Yeah, okay, not that important, but I was like, why not give it a try? It's actually supposed to start here. So maybe this will be like a fun little experimentation. Wasn't planning on doing all of that, but if we're already here, why not? I could use this to establish the mountain behind actually really well. So if I go like this, who knows? But the key here is you really have to use, you see when it's wet and wet, you have to use such thick paint. It's really insane. I'm really digging through the well just to get the dark paint I need. But in any case, yeah, that's not a plan. So I'm going to just let this kind of dry like that, and we'll see where it takes us. And I'm going to then start in the next layer, once it dries, putting in some of these mountain details that you see in the back. Now I do see Mossy asks, are you using hot press or cold press, and also the grade of your paper? So I'm using a 300-gram cold press arch paper. Okay, this specifically. The previous one is actually the St. Cuthbert. I forgot the name. It's written over there. Bockingford, yeah. So this is the Bockingford, 300 grams cold press also, I believe, and this is the Arch. Arch is a little better, higher quality, but it stinks more than this one at Saunders. For brushes, I'm using, this one was a Leonard brush. And I used the Skoda earlier. Pretty much some of my paints, mostly Daniel Smith, some SAA, some neutral tint is Daniel Smith too. The blue is a mix of Daniel Smith and M. Graham. I always have an interesting mix there. And yeah, let me show you the level of wetness on paper. You see it's still pretty wet. So I don't want to immediately dry it with the hairdryer, so I'm going to give it a few more seconds and then we'll do that. We can actually look at this one now that it's fully dry in the meantime. Maybe even, do I have some, I don't have some natural light here anymore, unfortunately. Like I had a few minutes ago, but that's fine. So we can explore this one in the meantime. So I actually think it dried nicely. You see, sometimes when you're using very thick paint, you get this awkward reflection there. I don't know if you're experiencing that too. Now let me just do this maybe like that. Just in the meantime, because I'm not really doing any important paintings. You can paint autumn landscape. Yeah, I'll do that. I really wanted to do one for a while, and it's the right time. So I think I'll do one maybe in the next week's live stream or maybe in a video. We'll see. And maybe while it dries, do I have some interesting pieces to show you? Let me check for a second. Let's see here. The polished one I already sent in the mail. But this one, this is a nice callback. So you probably remember this about inventing shadows. So someone asked me about inventing shadows yesterday, and I used this to kind of show them a good way of doing it. But for example, so here's something interesting. So this painting is really just sticking to the reference, right? We didn't change almost anything. Of course, we changed the shapes down here, but not too much. But this one was like all over the place. If you remember, I have the video of this one too. It's just craziness and improvisation and kind of reading the patterns on the buildings and so on. So I think if you practice both of these methods or approaches, you can grow quite a lot because you'll be able to use them as tools. So sometimes you want to invent, sometimes you'll want to imitate what you see, and most often you'll want a combination of both. So part of it will be very loyal to the reference photo, and then another part will be just pure invention, which is fun. Now, one thing, just to go back to our reference photo, the main thing, one interesting thing is when you paint without pencil lines, there is a freeing aspect to it that you're kind of just doing and putting things. Yes, it is a bit harder to keep track of where you are, but there are some benefits to it. So it's just something cool that I recommend you try. And this is actually a good scene to try it because there are very few shapes. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're pretty visible. So I'd actually encourage you to try it out. I'm going to take a very interesting approach with the next steps here. I'm really observing the reference photo, trying to understand how I'll tackle these And of course, now with the larger size, we have a few more options. We'll see. We'll see. I'll just start establishing some shapes. So let me dry this real fast. I think it's dry enough. Did the most drying naturally, and we can kind of let it dry faster now. Okay, so now it's ready for more work. So let me zoom in for you, and should probably raise this a bit so that you can see the whole thing. Yeah, and I'm just gonna start establishing the shapes. So this is actually fun. Again, very freeing because you're just painting. Stop shaking. Because you're just painting based on the reference photo. So let me try. Let me try my hand at this. So I'm going to start with this farthest, lightest mountain ridge over there, and we'll see how it goes. And I will be using my test paper here extensively just to make sure I get the right color and value. So I think this should be light enough. It feels very light. So let's try. And this will be the mountain ridge, not the darker blue, but the farther one. So I'll kind of build off of that. And I need a bit more of that blue. There we go. And you see I'm just following the way I see the shape there in the background. And then you'll notice that it really fades into the mist down below. Something like this. See, that looks nice. And there is, again, a very freeing aspect to painting like this. And then we have this other side. So a bit French ultramarine over there. And let's see what we can do here. So it's somewhere around here, I would say, is where it starts. It's a very weird way of painting, but it's fun to try it out once in a while. Maybe it needs to be a little stronger. And the more we move down, the more we're going to use water to help it move. And the lighter it's going to get. Just kind of overlaps it, right? Something like this. But it is a bit darker than the layer behind it. So to bring out that difference, let's make sure we actually do so. I'll just do this just to strengthen it a bit. See, something like this. And then weaken this part, you see? I know it's a very strange way of painting, but we'll see how it goes. I never really did something like that. Hey, Liron, I have a problem where I focus too much on the details, says J. Steven, and not the colors values when painting. So you focus too much on the details and not the colors values. So what details are you focusing on? Let's make it a conversation. I'm curious to hear. Is it shapes? Is that something that concerns you? Because other than values and colors, that'll be, I guess, the main other fundamental or pillar or something to pay attention to. If it is the shapes, then a lot of it may at least depend on your drawing. So I'd be curious to hear how you approach that. And also subject selection. If you find yourself too busy with the details, maybe it's a good idea to simplify some of the references you're working with to something a little more scarce in detail. Something that's a little more, let me get some paper. Something that's a little more forgiving right out the gate with fewer shapes, you know? That could be a very good idea. So I'm actually curious to hear. Let me know. Autumn Vineyard. Everyone wants an autumn scene. Okay, you'll get it. I'll do it. Now, next to this mountain ridge, there's another one that is ever so slightly darker. Don't worry, this is all going to dry much lighter. But you see this effect of just painting directly without pencil. It's very interesting. It's very calming too. And then we start to move more into the green range. And we're getting a little darker. So I'm going to try now to actually match the shape I see. Unlike before, where it was just a big mess. So let's see if I can do a decent enough job at it. This is here really light, so let me add some water. Connect it all the way to the back here, and then maybe mute some of these edges that I kind of want to say neglected, but they're here. Kind of let them become what they are. And go back to our green and neutral tint. Try and establish the shape of the forest and the trees and all of that. So that goes here, and then this connects there. And then this gets a little darker, and probably a bit bluer too, I see. For these trees right around here. And then, so here's an interesting bit. I'm going to now just use the darker yellow necessary right next to it. We'll see what happens. See? Because the yellow needs to be darker, and I kind of postponed it. Maybe even we'll add a bit of that very bright May green. And also to here. Now, I don't want to overwork these edges and shapes, so let me try and do this. I'm just using a smaller brush because I don't want to taint my other brush, but it does make it a little slower, but we'll see. So then this goes down from here, meets this group of trees, and then here we have a bit of that wet and wet near the edge of the groups of trees. Okay. And then we have another pretty big and significant group of trees. So this is the challenge, right? I'm trying to figure out where things are without any pencil guidance. It's not easy, but we'll make it. And then we have this edge here that kind of goes into a line, and this goes up like that. And then we have that other group of trees. It went way too low once again, but that's fine. It goes into this sharp edge too. Goes back, and then we have the bottom. Let's wait with the bottom. So I'm going to do that same wet and wet process like before, just to get a few indications of the shapes. And then a few of the lonely trees near the bottom there, and maybe in between these areas, like we did earlier. So we're inventing some details again. And now a lot of, like, the key is going to be how I'm going to establish that mountain that's closer to us. That's going to make this valley look brighter. So we'll have to devote some thought to that as well. Now, is there wet and wet here, like to get things to be darker? I don't think so. I think we're actually too dark, so we'll probably let it go. Maybe just like touches here and there, just to establish some boundaries between different areas, and yeah, something like that. And then let's go lighter. So it's interesting to do this a bit of a different approach that's riskier and usually leads to weird results. The thing is, if you're going to do this, just prepare yourself to do a few of these, because you probably won't get everything right the first time. And this is my second attempt, right? I did the smaller one, and now we're doing this one a little crazier. So yeah. J. Steven, I keep focusing Unlike trying to create textures or brushworks on a building, and after I've finished the painting, my colors and values are inaccurate. It's just a really bad habit that I have. Okay, so I actually have a good suggestion for that. I have a video on how to visualize the layer underneath it. Let me find it for a second. Let me show you my face too, just to make it a little more interesting as I look for this video on my channel. I did this video where I show you how to visualize the layer underneath, if you remember. It was actually really useful. You kind of paint without it. I'm just not sure I'll be able to find it now. If you remember what it was, let me know. But was it live? I don't even remember. Maybe I'll have to find it afterwards. But it was really good for that, for visualizing. Was it the paint shapes, not lines video? Yeah, I don't remember. I'll have to find it some other time, sorry. Oh, I remember, of course, it was a live stream, of course, I remember which one. And you probably watched it, maybe. I'll find it. I remember, some of you remember too. It's the Netherlands dock scene. And I'm gonna link to the specific part where I show this. Okay. So, share, start at, copy. So I'm gonna share with you, Jay Stevens, a link, right? And this is a process you may have watched, but I want you to watch in particular. I want you to watch that part with the initial wash, because what I show there is how to ignore all the darks and the details and see the underpainting for the first wash. So then you will get yourself to, for example, instead of focusing on the shapes of the trees or texture on the mountains, you'll focus on the shapes themselves. So you see this as one big shape, right? This entire thing is one big shape. This entire thing is another big shape. And then you won't be so distracted by the texture, so to speak, because the texture is secondary to the shape itself. And you can always get that texture later on, but first establish the shape. Check out that live. I show you how I tackle the first wash, and then I also show it, I believe, or a similar thing for the next wash. And I really show how you kind of have to let go of the textures and details at first, and paint the lighter values as if it's everything, as if there are no mid and dark values, okay? Now let me close the door that keeps slamming. It drives me crazy, and I'll be back. כן, הוא פה. אבל הוא לפעמים מוכר אותו, שתדע. כן. לא נורא, בסדר. Okay. So now, last bit, we're going to establish this crazy thing here. Now this, you really have to prepare yourself. So I'm going to use a big brush, but I just have to make sure that I mix enough this time, unlike all the previous times. So let me just get this strong blue. We can even use, no, I don't want to use that. I thought of using Payne's Gray, but the problem with Payne's Gray is that it has a bit of a grainy texture that I don't like as much. And it literally looks like grains, and it doesn't mix well for thick, this particular one, right? Not every Payne's Gray. But in any case, let's see what we have here. I want it to be a deep blue. See, that's good, but not too deep that it's, you don't see anything underneath it. And then we'll start establishing some trees. And you see how slowly but surely it will make the rest of the painting make a little more sense. And let me add a bit more blue to it. That goes down a bit. It will make the rest make a little more sense because now it captures that valley, see, in between darks, like that. And then this goes up, and yes, we have made some drawing mistakes because we didn't draw, but that's fine. And most important part, get this lower section, thick paint as fast as you can. That's much, much better. See? And I'll try not to go over it too many times, but I do want to go over it at least a few times to make sure that it's actually dark enough, right? But you see how it kind of captures this area? And then even like I see a bit of a dark to light over in that direction. Maybe let's connect some of these areas together like that. And I think that creates some nice, interesting shapes there on the valley. So yeah, that's kind of the best I can do right now. I will have to darken this. We'll give it a few seconds to dry and then I'll darken it. Because look at this. This is good. This is not dark enough. Remember what I showed you. This area, and for anyone new who joined, I'll show you. Once again, this looks very light, but it should be darker. This entire yellow area. And I'm going to show you the proof once again, because I've shown it before. Sorry if you've already seen it. This is the reference photo, black and white. Look at how much darker that green yellow in the bottom right area is. And then if you sample the colors, look at what it looks like. Yes, I know it looks bright and light, but it's actually quite dark. And let me show you how it's compared to the sky. Much darker. So I know it looks like this yellowy, beautiful yellow green is very light. It's actually quite dark, and you have to make sure you get it right. Otherwise, it won't look right, and it'll drive you crazy. Why doesn't it look right? So yeah. Oh, I see. Thanks, Liron, for the advice. I'll be watching the video you sent. Yeah, and especially the first wash. You don't have to waste your time on the whole thing because it's quite a long live stream. But if you just want to figure out how to visualize without seeing the details, it's a good one to go. And it's always work from large to small. So what do I mean by that? You start large, and this shape actually drives me crazy, so I'm going to fix it. Right here, there is this bump that I like. So let's include it like this. Large first wash. Large yet again, big shapes. And then you can start putting in smaller details. I jumped into some small details here, yes, because they're a part of the bigger shapes, but usually I have no texture to set up. I just want to get the big shapes in. They're responsible for most of it. They are responsible for most of the beauty in the painting. You don't need the details at all. And I'll do a video proving that in the future, another one. Because I did a few where I just focused on the big composition. It still looks good, still looks somewhat realistic from afar, which is important. Now you'll notice that these two touch here. So I'm going to close off that gap with a bit of a muted green. See, this looks a bit annoying. I don't like, what gap don't I like? I don't like this gap here. So I'm just closing it off. Purely a compositional aspect. And then I want to close this off as well. That looks much better to me. Like that. Looks a little more natural. Better. Because there is a shadow there trapped between them. It's weird for all of this to be a thin strip of light. I don't like that. But yeah. So I still need to train my eye to see more on shapes, J. Steven. Yeah, exactly. It's that. It's just a matter of training your eyes, and you will get there. Let me mute myself, dry this real fast, and then we'll do the finishing touches. Okay, good. And that is correct. I've heard painters squint their eyes so that they will see more shapes. Maybe I can try that. Yeah, that definitely works. I can actually, so I know squinting is going like this, right? I can actually unfocus my eyes, play around with it. So that's sometimes what I'll do. I'll just strain the muscle and I see things blurry, and that helps. But I won't recommend anyone else to do it because I don't know if it's healthy to do, honestly. But yeah, so let's darken this, and you will see how it plops it into place. But for this one, I do need a clean well, believe it or not. So let me get rid of this paint, and I'm just going to use yellow for this because I want to glaze over it, or yellowy green, right? So I just want to glaze over this with this, probably just yellow actually. So here we go. This is lighter. Let's wait with that. Let's start working on this. And look at how it will put everything. You see how it makes it belong, or makes it feel more like a part of the painting. It's really like magic sometimes. When you match the right value, it really does feel like magic sometimes. And it will dry a little lighter. No, don't forget that. I'm going a little darker than it needs to be. And then maybe let's get something that's in the middle here. Not as dark. See? And that makes it look like strong sunlight there. It actually looks the way it should. And you'll notice I completely messed up the shapes, right? They should be tilted differently and all of that, but that's fine. I didn't draw. So, yeah. So let me just for fun show you both results because we're pretty much done. It's going to be a quick live stream. We started at 3:30. I think we can wrap it up soon. But I will read some more of your comments and we'll remove the tape and I'll sign these. And I'll share the fun story thing promo that I did. That was really fun on Instagram 2 days ago, I think. So yeah. So let me see what you're saying. Jojo says, hey Liron, how do I get my watercolors to be vibrant like yours? So it's a good question. I'm not even sure how I would answer that. So I think it will depend on what you mean by vibrant. Do you see a glow? Do you see I will say this, it's all about, really, it's all about the values for many. Here's what I would challenge you to do. I want to give you something that's practical and not preachy. What I would like you to try, hey Ruth, what I would like you to try is find like 5 paintings that glow, that you like by other painters, try and recreate them and compare the results then. And when you compare the results, compare the colors, like use one of these maybe, and go over both paintings and start comparing section by section, seeing how accurate was I here, how accurate was I here, and so on. And try and figure out what's wrong. And it will give you a lot of answers, I think. Now, if you did that with 1, 2, 3 paintings and you can figure it out, email me, attach your paintings, attach the original ones, and I'll give you my comments. I get what you're saying, I think, because a lot of people have that kind of it's not even a struggle, it's something you contend with, like what's considered vibrant, right? Does this look vibrant? You know what I mean? Is it the colors that make you feel like it's vibrant? Is it the values? You know, this, in my opinion, is very vibrant, right? But so people use this word in such vastly different ways that I would encourage you to, instead of defining it, find those 5 paintings that seem vibrant to you, and then try and recreate them and compare and see where you got things wrong, right? What I'm doing right now is yeah, sure. So I'm happy I could help Jojo. What I've been doing here, right, is painting the same subject in very different methods. One of them gave me better results in terms of, I think, the colors here, especially, and even some of the shapes. One of them feels a little fresher. Like this, I love that it completely merges wet and wet. That looks really good in my opinion. So different methods lead to different results and will help you learn an aspect, right? So that's something you do when you're more advanced. But for now, for you, I would like you to try and, again, do that very dry study. This is the artist. I love their work. It seems vibrant. I'll try and paint it and see where I fall short. This is not a recommendation to imitate others. It's not even a recommendation to learn from others. I don't want you to learn from the person you painted their paintings. You're learning from exploring yourself. So when you paint that painting, it's not about that other painter. It's about what you produce. And then you use it as a mirror to figure out what's the difference. Okay, so you're not even learning from others, but you are using others' work that inspires you, in that case, in the vibrant word. But sorry, yeah, that was a super long answer. Hopefully that wasn't too much. Hey, John, thank you so much for the kind words. Lovely sense of depth. Thanks for another awesome live stream. Thank you so much. Liron, do you know James Gurney? Of course. I know James Gurney. He's insane, just the definition of a master. He's been doing it for so long, too, so, you know, makes sense. So in the meantime, while you have any more questions, feel free to ask. I'm gonna, I think, remove the tape. And let's see what this looks like. Maybe I'll just sign this here real fast. I like to sign with a white gel pen over dark. So yeah, here we go. So one fun thing that I did a few days ago, 2 days ago was it? I wanted to see, like, test the engagement on Instagram stories. So I did this 24-hour promo where I offered a painting for, so right now in the gallery, the cheapest one is $2.99. So I offered a painting for 24 hours for $69. And it sold, I think, within like 10 minutes. So that was pretty cool. So I think I'll do more of these. And dare I say, there will probably also be free ones, like a giveaway thing. So I'm still thinking about it. It's probably going to involve YouTube too. But keep your eyes open for these things, because I will probably do like a very fast kind of snap fire thing where I give you a task maybe, and then there is a reward. It's like a free painting, which is cool, I think. Just to have an original art piece is fun, I think. And $69 isn't like, it's still like money is money. I don't feel like that's cheap, but it's much cheaper than the rest. So yeah. Anything interesting here? No. Good. Just check my phone real quick. So here it is without with the frame clean. So I hope you like that. Compared to the reference, this time actually I did a good job matching the colors. You see, so this is actually a great example, because for the last couple of streams and videos I don't match the colors very well. But this time I put the intent to do it, and I actually did the preparation, because when you look at this kind of a thing here, right? The sampling, it really gets you to think about the colors and really gets you to want to match them. And I'm going to talk about it in Saturday's video, that I like the idea of practicing a skill in isolation, you know, just values or just colors or color matching and so on. But I also think that when you start incorporating it into your actual work, it's important to focus on it maybe in the beginning. So you'll say to yourself, I really want to get the colors right for this one. Even if I mess up some of the values, I'll devote a lot of attention to the colors. So for this one I did, and it worked out. Like, look at this piece here. It's so close if you look compared to the painting. These two, they're right, you know? They're just very accurate. Here it gets a little messier. But yeah, here it's pretty accurate. And I will add to that when the colors are more muted in the reference photo, it's easier. They're easier to mix. So hazy scenes are great for that. Foggy, hazy, misty scenes are really good for color matching. Let's see how good of a job I did here. So pretty decent as well. I think it's pretty close, right? A bit too blue here, but it actually looks good, which shows that you can change things, and of course, they can look really great. This looks much better, I think, in this version. Here it's very patchy. Some of it is, by the way, the paper's fault. So again, this is the bucking for it. It's almost as good as you saw on the other side, the previous video. It's almost as good, but there is a bit of a difference, a bit of a gap in quality. This is a little more on top of it. Now, if we look at the black and white version, I think I'm pretty close to, right? So these three look great in terms of values. Here it's a little messy, but I still like it. This, I think, is on point. This too. Even this thin strip is pretty close, right? So this is the kind of work you want to do to find your weaknesses. And you just compare. You start going over different areas, comparing them. Try printing the reference photo. It makes it much more practical and much easier to match the value, because you're not looking at it in a screen that you can increase the brightness on. But yeah, that's how I would do it. And whatever you do, just doing will get you closer to your goal, because it's all about the action, the painting, the immersion in the process, for me at least. So yeah. Raul says, was great, thanks. Thank you so much. Suzanne Baker, is it accurate to compare values with the reference photo on screen? Yeah, so answer that by mistake. So yeah, it's much better to print out the reference photo. What you do want to make sure is that your printer is decent, like it at least prints it similarly, not completely different. But other than that, yes, I would much rather you print and the printer isn't as good, so the colors are a little skewed in the printed photo, but then you work from that photo with the skewed colors. I'd much rather you do that than work from a screen, unless you're experienced, and then it becomes a little more feasible. It's just so much easier. For example, if I were now to paint another painting based on that, it would be much easier to match the values and the colors. I'll just go like this, okay, and mix that blue, like I showed you in the color matching video. It's just much easier when it's printed. Marigold Wood says, Interested to know what difference you found between the Bockingford and Arch. Not tried Bockingford as it's not 100% cotton, but I have seen quite a lot of artists use it with great results. Yeah, so I think if you're able to work very fresh and you don't have to do too many glazes, Bockingford will work well. The thing is, once you start layering, it's much easier to awaken the layer underneath. That's one. And second, sometimes with very dark colors, it's just not as absorbent. So let me show you. We actually have a good example here. Look at them in the light. Which one has a stronger sheen? Look at this. See how bright that is? Some of the paint, I think, stays on the surface and isn't absorbed as well as on the Arch paper. So it could be a big deal if you're painting darker. Now, if you're painting light, very transparent, very light, very pale paintings, then it would be good. Very wet, it would be good. But the more you have to glaze, the more you have to do these things, you're running the risk of reawakening. I also find that the blending actions, a little like smoothing edges out, is a little easier on the Arch as compared to the Bockingford, unless you're doing wet and white. So just some of my observations. It's still, to me, it's still like a top tier paper, or like a mid top tier. It's not Fabriano. Well, Fabriano, some people will like better, but it's definitely not pulp paper. It's not like cellulose. It is good. It is good. It's kind of in the middle between those tiers. I would use it for finished paintings. I would use it for practice. I would use it for everything. So yeah. And if it's much cheaper, then definitely. Tom Dancer, I know Paul Clark gets great results on the 200 Bockingford, which is much heavier than this, but I've never tried it. Interesting. So how much is this then? Let me check, because I'm not sure in LBs how much it is. I should be able to see it here. 140. Yeah, okay. So this is 140, and you're talking about 200, which is, I guess, like 400 grams maybe, or 450 grams, which is, this one is 300, both of these. So yeah, interesting. I don't know. Happy I could help, Marigold. Hopefully that covers it. But yeah, I think this is it for this one. Let me know again if you have any final questions. We're going to kind of move towards wrapping this up. I wanted to show you the other side of this paper because I actually cut it. It's actually perforated, which could be an advantage. I'm not sure. Should you go like this, like that? Could be an advantage depending on what you're trying to achieve. This perforation, you just rip it out. It has more of a feeling of a sketchbook, which is nice. Removes some pressure if you feel pressured. You know, like you're trying to get a good result and you're very nervous to waste very good paper. Then that's actually a fine solution, I think. But yeah. So anyway, thank you so much to all of you for being here. If I can ask you for a favor before we drop out, if you can drop a like, it will help the stream a lot. Help it put it in front of more people, as always, and even for after the fact, more people find it. Link to the reference photo is always in the description box. I will also add that the links to the courses are there. So if you're struggling with watercolor, if you're struggling with painting or with drawing, both links are there. Frustration-free watercolor course. Let go, enjoy the process, paint more freely, and then from that point on, you can start developing a better technique and a better understanding and all those good stuff. But sometimes, for some people, that's the thing that gets them stuck. So I would recommend you check it out. First, links in the description box. Thank you so much to the Sciences Rule for being here. No worries. To watch the parts you missed, you can watch them. It's going to be up on the channel. Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you to everyone. We're going to wrap it up. Take care. Have a great weekend, I guess. Yeah, Thursday. So weekend soon. I'm going to try and rest. This week was intense. So thank you so much. We'll talk to you again real soon.